Hey everyone, welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Alyssa Ashe, and thank you so much for joining us here tonight for another nightly news recap. Now, it has been a little bit since we've been on the air. We just got back actually from a rally. We had two rallies in the Magnolia State in Mississippi, but right now I want to share with you all something very important that I know many of you have been paying attention to in the news and paying your respects to. And so I am going to pull that up for you right now. President Trump actually just paid his respects to former President George H.W. Bush. So I'm going to pull up that live feed we have for you right now, and we'll be sharing some facts with you all about our former president of the United States. So thank you all so much for joining. Everyone over in the chat room right now, everyone watching on YouTube, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, however you're watching, we're very glad to have you with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So you can see it's a very beautiful scene, but of course a very somber scene. Many individuals have been just extremely impacted by the 41st President of the United States, and they are already paying their respects. So I'm going to cue the audio so you can kind of hear what's going on as I'm talking to you all, and going to pull up some facts as well. So President George H.W. Bush, he was born on June 12th, 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts. Now, his birth name was George Herbert Walker Bush, and his father was Prescott Bush, an investment banker and senator, and this is from the Gwinnett Daily Post. He was actually the first sitting vice president to be elected since Martin Van Buren in 1836, and he was the second U.S. president after John Adams to be the father of a U.S. president. Now, he flew 58 combat missions for the Navy during World War II and was awarded 3 air medals and the Distinguished Flying Cross. And he had a form of Parkinson's disease, and his nickname since his childhood has been Poppy, and that's how he was known at Yale, especially as a baseball player. Now, a bit of a timeline. Back in 1943, after earning his commission in wings, he became the youngest pilot in the Navy at the time. Now, in the late 40s, the captain of the Yale University baseball team, and he played in the first 2 College World Series, 1947 and 1948. Now, in 1951, he established the Bush Overby Oil Development Company with John Overby. And in 1953, he formed the Zapata Petroleum with William and Hugh Ledke. And in 1964, he first ran unsuccessfully for the U.S. Senate. And also wanted to shout out over on YouTube, thank you so much, Matthew Timonen, for your $30.99 Australian dollar donation. Really appreciate that. He says, God bless RSBN, and sending love from Australia. And also thank you to Steve Nisley for your $2.99 donation. Really appreciate that. So we'll be sharing with you all some more facts about our former president as we respect him tonight. Now, from 1967 to 1971, he was a U.S. representative from Texas's 7th District. And from 1971 to 72, he was an ambassador to the United Nations. 73 to 74, chairman of the Republican National Committee. 74 to 75, served as chief of the United States Liaison Office in China. And 76 to 77, he was director of the CIA. And going to be pulling up some more facts for you all. So January 20th, 1981, he was sworn in as vice president of the United States. So by the time he became president, he was very prepared to take office. Now, July 13th, 1985, he was the acting president for nearly 8 hours while President Reagan underwent surgery. Now, November 8th, 1988, he was elected the 41st president of the United States with 53.1% of the popular vote and 426 electoral votes. Now, January 20th, 1989, he was sworn in as the 41st president of the United States. And then in December 1989, he sent American troops to Panama, Operation Just Cause. And so many in the media right now are, of course, respecting George H.W. Bush. You can see it on all of the mainstream channels, and everyone is just paying their highest respects to him. Many saying that he is just one of the most polite people that they ever knew, that he did so much for our nation, and that they are just so very thankful for him. Now, in an interview earlier today, I was watching a past interview he had with Chris Wallace from Fox News, and Chris Wallace asked him if it was, difficult to actually send American troops into combat. And he said that it definitely was difficult, and just watching his response and the emotion conveyed on his face was so heartwarming. And now, of course, the whole Bush family joins together to respect their patriarch, and so does the whole country. So we will be bringing you guys updates on this throughout the week in these nightly news recaps, and so stay tuned for that. I'm going to go through some more facts with you all as we kind of go through the timeline. February 27th, 1991, he declared victory in Iraq. And November 3rd, 1992, he lost the presidential election to Bill Clinton. Now, December 24th, 1992, he pardoned 6 government officials who had been implicated in the Iran-Contra affair. Now, January 3rd, 1993, he signed the Second Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty with Russia. And June 9th, 1999, he celebrated his 75th birthday by actually skydiving, and he celebrated his 80th, 85th, and 90th birthdays the same way. So he definitely knew how to have fun. Now, February 19th through the 21st in 2005, he toured areas in Southeast Asia damaged by a tsunami with Clinton. And September 1st, 2005, after Hurricane Katrina, former Presidents Bush and Clinton formed the Bush-Clinton-Katrina Fund. Now, January 10th, 2009, the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier is commissioned. And February 15th, 2011, he received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Now, November 17th through the 19th, 2012, he was unfortunately hospitalized due to bronchitis. In November 23rd, 2012, he was readmitted to the hospital following treatment for bronchitis. Now, January 14th, 2013, he was released from the hospital after almost 2 months of treatment for bronchitis. And July 2013, he actually shaved his head in solidarity with a leukemia victim, the son of a member of a Secret Service detail. Now, in 2013, he actually attended the same-sex wedding of Bonnie Clement and Helen Thorgelson in Kennebunkport, Maine, and signed their marriage license as a witness. Now, November 2013, the National College Baseball Foundation announced its Hall of Fame museum will be named after the 41st president. And in May 2014, he received the John F. Kennedy Library Foundation Profiles and Courage Award. Now, June 12th, 2014, he celebrated his 90th birthday with a parachute jump, as he did for his 75th, 80th, and 85th birthdays. Now, November 11th, 2014, the biography 41, A Portrait of My Father, was written by George W. Bush and was released during a special ceremony and discussion session at the George H.W. Bush Presidential Library at Texas A&M University in College Station. Now, December 23rd through December 30th, back in 2014, he was hospitalized for what aides describe as a precautionary measure after he experienced shortness of breath. Now, July 15th, 2015, he actually had a fall in his home in Maine, breaking his C2 vertebrae in his neck, and his spokesman, Jim McGrath, tells CNN that the injury was not life-threatening. Now, January 14th, 2017, he was hospitalized due to an acute respiratory problem stemming from pneumonia, and Barbara Bush was admitted to the hospital for days later after experiencing fatigue and coughing. Now, January 30th, 2017, he was released from the hospital, and I will come back to this timeline, but just to break it up a little, I know that many of you were commenting about his wonderful service dog, Sully, and that picture that has just been circulating everywhere. And so I am going to pull that up and show it to you all. If you're not familiar with it, it is just a very heartwarming picture of his service dog, Sully, laying next to him, who actually will be given to another veteran. So I retweeted it earlier today. Hopefully you were able to see it. And as you know, I absolutely love interacting with you all on Twitter. It's such a blessing that I'm able to do that. So of course, if you have any story ideas that you would like to share with us, please send them to me at Alyssa Ashe, RSBN, and I will of course bring them to attention in the nightly news recap. So I'm going to pull over the picture of Sully. It's a very heartwarming and kind of heartbreaking picture with the caption, "Mission complete." And then we'll go back to our feed so you can see right here. And this one, although it's been shared on many media outlets today, this one is from ABC News. And I'm going to pull it down just so you can see real quick and pull down my picture a little bit. So you can see that the tweet there, "Mission complete. Former President George H.W. Bush's service dog Sully honors the late president with his own tribute in front of Bush's flag-draped casket." So just a very emotional picture there. Of course, you know, dogs are man's best friend, and Sully was very loyal to former President George H.W. Bush. Now I'm going to head back over to the feed just to see what is going on there. Of course, many individuals are paying their respects to former President George H.W. Bush. And I tweeted earlier today, if you guys have any special memories of him, or, you know, just a way that he really impacted America that you would like to share with us, please share with me on Twitter at Alyssa Ashe RSBN, and you can share here as well in the comments over on YouTube, and I will share that with everyone. Would really appreciate that. And of course, you can reach out to me on Twitter. Also, hello to everyone watching on Facebook. We're really glad to have you here watching from all different places. And going to continue showing you this feed. British Patriot says there's a new Trump tweet about 41, about George H.W. Bush. So I'm going to go over to Twitter real quick and pull that up so that I can share it with you all. We usually have a Trump tweets segment during the nightly news recaps, and that's a lot of fun. And we'll do it a little later on in the night. Yes, and it does look like President Trump has just tweeted out a video. So I'm going to share that with you. Now, earlier in the day, about 10 hours ago, he tweeted out, "Looking forward to being with the Bush family to pay my respects to President George H.W. Bush." And also wanted to shout out, thank you so much, Matthew Timonen, for your $5.99 donation, who says, "Love the RSBN family." Really appreciate that donation. And support Matthew. Thank you for supporting us all the way from Australia. Really appreciate that. Also, huge thank you to all of our fantastic moderators that are sharing with you all those links that you can help us donate, stay on the air. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate that. And like I said, I am going to pull up that Trump tweet for you, and in just a second, a special video of the ceremony that was held today. So I'm going to switch over the screen just so you can see that tweet, and I'm going to switch the audio as well, as I'm multitasking here. Bear with me. I'm going to go to the beginning of President Trump's tweet video and share it with you. So just a quick video of this scene earlier today, and sorry if there was no audio there, but you did get to kind of get a glimpse of just what it looked like inside the Capitol Rotunda, and showing you again now many gathered around paying their respects to former President George H.W. Bush. He did impact the lives of many and left a huge legacy here in America. So here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we are praying for his friends and family as they mourn the loss of their beloved father, friend, brother, and president and veteran, and just very thankful for all that he was able to do for our country. Going to spend a little bit more time with this story, showing you the live stream before we move on to the next story of the night. So I'm pulling up some more information right now, and of course, like I said, would love to hear your fond memories about him, a way that you really think he impacted America, and what you're thankful that he was able to accomplish during his time in office. Would love it if you shared with us here on the YouTube stream. You can just share your comment over here, or of course on Facebook, or you can direct message me on Twitter, and I will be able to see that at Alyssa Ashe RSBN. So pulling up some more information about him, want to go through just for those that may not be as familiar with his legacy, or for those that just would like to remember him. So President George H.W. Bush was born on June 12th, 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts, and he fought in World War II and was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives 1966. Now, he served as Ronald Reagan's vice president for 2 terms and then won the 1988 U.S. presidential race before losing his bid for a second term to Bill Clinton. Now, afterward, he made appearances for his son, George W. Bush, who was elected U.S. president and co-founded the Bush-Clinton-Katrina Fund. Now, he was a congressman and vice president, and this is from biography.com, credit to them. So he became chairman of the Harris County Republican Party in 1963. In the following year, he ran an unsuccessful campaign for a U.S. Senate seat in Texas. And it didn't take long for Bush to enter Congress. However, in 1966, 2 years after his unsuccessful Senate bid, he was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, ultimately serving 2 terms. Now, Bush was later appointed to several important positions, including U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations in 1971, head of the Republican National Committee during the Watergate scandal, U.S. envoy to China, and director of the CIA in 1976. Now, he then set his sights on the U.S. presidency, but failed to win his party's nomination in 1980, losing it to his opponent, Ronald Reagan. Bush would make it to the White House soon after. However, he was chosen as Reagan's vice presidential running mate. Now, Reagan, and I'm going to turn this sound on for you back here just so you're able to hear what's going on in the room. So Reagan won the 1980 election, defeating Democrat challenger Jimmy Carter, and he was reelected in 1984, with Bush serving as his vice president for both terms. Now, President Bush finally reached the White House's top seat in 1989. He won the 1988 election against Democratic nominee Michael Dukakis, becoming the first sitting vice president to be elected president since 1837. Now, during his nomination acceptance speech at the 1988 Republican National Convention, Bush famously stated, "Read my lips, no new taxes." Now, to go through some accomplishments during his presidency, he skillfully handled foreign affairs during a just tumultuous time for the nation. And just months into his first term, he responded to the dissolve of the Soviet Union and oversaw the U.S. military's removal of Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega from power. Now, not long after, Bush responded to then Iraqi President Saddam Hussein's invasion of Kuwait, creating a national coalition and leading a military strike to drive Hussein out of the oil-rich country. Now, Bush's handling of the invasion in Kuwait is largely viewed as his greatest presidential success. Now, Bush delivered a speech to the American public as the invasion began, stating now the 28 countries with forces in the Gulf area have exhausted all reasonable efforts to reach a peaceful resolution. We have no choice but to drive Saddam from Kuwait by force. We will not fail. We are determined to knock out Saddam Hussein's nuclear bomb potential. We will also destroy his chemical weapons facilities. Much of Saddam's artillery and tanks will be destroyed. Our objectives are clear. Saddam Hussein's forces will leave Kuwait. Now, despite his global success, he did have some just economic issues at home, and he was blamed for this, and this is kind of why some say he was not able to be re-elected in 1992. Now, post-presidency, when his eldest son, George W. Bush, was elected president in 2000, George Bush Sr. made public appearances, frequently to speak in support of his son. In addition to being a proud and supportive father, he has lent his support to serve political causes. In 2005, he joined forces with former President Bill Clinton, the Democratic candidate who defeated him in the 1992 election, to help people affected by Hurricane Katrina, which devastated the Gulf Coast region, especially Louisiana and Mississippi. Now, the Bush-Katrina Fund raised more than $100 million in donations in its first few months. Now, in 2011, Bush was honored with the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama. Now, he also struggled with some health issues, as many of you know. Back in November 2012, he was 88 years old when he was admitted to a Houston, Texas hospital to be treated for a cough related to bronchitis. His cough reportedly improved, but he remained hospitalized because of other health setbacks. He also developed a persistent fever, according to an AP report, prompting his move to an intensive care unit in December. And that year, it also became known that Bush was suffering from lower body Parkinsonism, a disease that has confined him to a wheelchair. Also wanted to shout out, thank you, Matthew Timonen, for once again donating $7.99 in Australian dollars. And he says, are there any new Trump rallies coming up? God bless. Thank you, Matthew. Not any that we know of. Unfortunately, we do not know of any until the same time as the public, as they're not announced until days before for security reasons. But as soon as we know, we will be letting you guys know, and really excited to attend those rallies and bring you live coverage of the entire rally. Of course, interviews before the entire speech and some interviews after. And it will be unedited, uncut, and raw, just like you like it. So thank you so much for donating and supporting Right Side Broadcasting Network, helping us attend these rallies. Of course, you know you can donate right here on our YouTube chat. You can also go to our website, rsbnetwork.com/donate, and see the different options there, including PayPal, Patreon, and of course, you can also donate the old-fashioned way and mail in a check. So, going to go through some more information with you just about former President George H.W. Bush, as the entire country now pays their respects to the former president. Now, Wednesday has been declared a national day of rest by President Trump. So we're going to see just many of those flags, of course, flown at half-mast as everyone is paying their respects to the former president. Now, going back to some information from biography.com, looking back in 2012 at some of these health issues, the former president seemed to be in good spirits. The following July, photos, however, were released to the press showing Bush with a shaved head in support of a Secret Services agent's young son who was battling leukemia. Now, Bush and his wife also contributed to a special fund established to pay for the boy's medical expenses. Now, Bush was admitted to Houston Methodist Hospital in December 2014 after experiencing shortness of breath. In 2013, he had been hospitalized for 2 months following a bout with bronchitis. And despite his health setbacks over the years, Bush has skydived on a number of milestone birthdays since leaving the White House. And his last jump was actually in June 2014 in celebration of his 90th birthday, and he had previously parachuted for his 80th and 85th birthdays. Now, really just a fun fact that he liked to have fun as well. Of course, he was very serious. He was a veteran, a father, a friend. He did so much for our country, but I think it's really cool that he was able to have fun as well in a really big way. So kind of looking back, again, we're going to continue analyzing his health. In July 2015, he was 91 years old. He actually fell at his summer home in Maine and broke a vertebrae in his neck. And his medical condition was considered not life-threatening, according to his spokesman. Now, on January 14th, 2017, he was hospitalized again, suffering from an acute respiratory problem stemming from pneumonia, according to a statement. And his wife, Barbara, was hospitalized on January 18th after experiencing fatigue and coughing, and was released on January 23rd. Now, shortly after, the resilient former president and his wife attended Super Bowl at the NRG Stadium in their hometown of Houston, and they were cheered on by the crowd when President Bush performed the coin toss before the start of the game. Now, shortly after Barbara passed away in April 2018, Bush was admitted to Houston Methodist Hospital with an infection that actually led to sepsis. And he was placed in intensive care where his condition reportedly stabilized. Later on in May, he returned for another summer. Former president again found himself in the hospital, this time due to low blood pressure and fatigue, but his strength soon returned and he was discharged after 1 week. So looking at details of his death, former President George H.W. Bush passed away just a few days ago, November 30th, 2018 at 10:10 in Houston, Texas. And his son George said in a statement, "Jeb, Neil, Marvin, Doro, and I are saddened to announce that after 94 remarkable years, our dear dad has died." And George H.W. Bush was a man of the highest character and the best dad a son or daughter could ask for. The entire Bush family is deeply grateful for 41's life and love, for the compassion of those who have cared and prayed for Dad, and for the condolences of our friends and fellow citizens. Now, moving on, kind of looking at his early life, just to glance back and really honor him today. He was born on June 12th, and I know I've already mentioned this a couple times, but in case you're just now joining in, June 12th, 1924 in Milton, Massachusetts, the son of Senator Prescott Bush. He was born into a wealthy and politically active family. He attended Phillips Academy and a light boarding school in Andover, Massachusetts. He began dating his future wife, known as Barbara Pierce, at the time after they were introduced at a Christmas dance in 1941, and he was 17 years old at the time, and Barbara was just 16, and they married in January 1935. Now, on his 18th birthday, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy, becoming the youngest pilot in the Navy during World War II. He served as a combat pilot in the war, flying carrier-based torpedo bomber aircraft in a total of 58 combat missions. He had a brush with death when his plane was hit during a bombing run in the Pacific, and after managing to escape the burning aircraft, he was quickly rescued by a U.S. Navy submarine, and he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for his World War II service. Now, after the war, he attended Yale University, where he graduated with a degree in economics in 1948, and he later moved to Midland, Texas, where he found success in the oil and petroleum industry. So that is some information from biography.com. Thank you for that. And a sweet comment from one of our viewers, the British Patriot. He says, Barbara died just 7 months ago. They've joined each other in heaven. Very true, British Patriot. Although it is heartbreaking for many of us here on earth, definitely a beautiful reunion with Barbara Bush in heaven. So really would like to hear some of your feedback. Of course, if there are any accomplishments you would like to share about the former president, please send them to me on Twitter. I do have my page open here so that I am able to see it, and that is at Alyssa Ashe, RSBN. And of course, if there are any other stories that you would like me to share during the broadcast, would love to share those with everyone during our nightly news recap. In case you might, just be joining and you're not quite familiar with a nightly news recap, it's kind of a summary of all the main headlines of the day, whether it's world news, local, state, national. We want to bring it to you, and we want to bring you a unique perspective that the mainstream media is not going to bring you. And we're really thankful that we're able to do that here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So thank you all so much for tuning in. And we're going to take a short break. I'm going to show you just a video of why Right Side Broadcasting Network is so unique, something that many of you are familiar with, about how we show the crowds, not to completely give it away. But don't go anywhere, just going to show you this quick video, and then we'll be back with more news. So don't go anywhere, stay here for our nightly news recap. Many paying their respects to former President George H.W. Bush. Thankful that we were able to show you all a live look of him laid in the Capitol Rotunda until he's finally laid to rest later this week in Texas. So we will be bringing you live updates here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you so much for joining us, and going to bring you some more news stories that you may have missed today. Some detailed stories ranging all the way from California wildfires to the politics in France, and of course some of the political climate here in the United States. So thank you all so much for joining and just for interacting. Love having you in the YouTube chat, on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, YouTube, however you're watching. Really thankful for you all, and wanted to shout out, we just received another donation from Matthew Timonen over in Australia. Thank you so much, Matthew, for that. And $1 from CNN. Thank you for that. So right now I'm going to bring you an update on the California wildfire situation, something I covered a lot 2 weeks ago, and that we're not seeing as much of now. So most of Paradise, California has been destroyed, including many homes. Now, 88 individuals were killed in this fire, and dozens are still unaccounted for. And students were being bused to existing schools, going to centers, and reconnecting with teachers. So for many over in California, their lives will never be the same, just complete and utter devastation. And going to bring you more details about that from an article called The Hill, from an article by The Hill that was actually published yesterday, and it's about how California wildfires released 1 year's worth of power pollution. So according to The Hill, forest fires in California this year released carbon emissions equivalent to the amount produced to power the state's electricity for 1 year, according to a new analysis from the U.S. Geological Survey. Now, the wildfires, including last month's record-breaking fires in northern and southern California, released 68 million tons of carbon dioxide as they incinerated huge swaths of land and destroyed thousands of homes. And that is roughly the same amount of carbon emissions typically produced to power the entire state for a year, according to a statement from the Interior Department on Friday. Now, Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke said in a statement, "We know that wildfires can be deadly and cost billions of dollars, but this analysis from the U.S. Geological Survey also shows just how bad catastrophic fires are for the environment and for the public's health." Now, the carbon emissions from the wildfires accounted for 15% of all California emissions, the statement noted. In November's wildfires, which included the deadliest and most destructive fires in the state's history, released 5.5 million tons of carbon dioxide. Now, in the statement, Zinke echoed President Trump in saying that the wildfires could be mainly attributed to improper forest management. Now, fire officials and lawmakers in California have pushed against this assessment, saying forest management is one of a number of issues that could have caused the wildfires. And California Governor Jerry Brown last month said the wildfires, which killed at least 91 people, were likely connected to the intensifying effects of climate change. Now, Brown called the wildfires part of California's new abnormal. And Zinke's statement comes as he continues to cast doubt on a new dire federal climate change report, which warns that the devastating effects of climate change will slash the U.S. economy and harm people's day-to-day lives if leaders at all levels don't take stronger action immediately. And Zinke has questioned the methods used by the 300 government and non-government scientists who contributed to the report, which was authorized by 13 federal agencies. And the report predicts that wildfires will continue to grow larger, more costly, and more deadly as temperatures rise and the climate becomes drier due to human-caused climate change. So an update there on what was going on in California, and also going to be sharing with you all what's going on right now in France. So an update, this is actually from the Daily Wire. Violence breaking out in France after Macron's leftist climate change policies. Now, this is by Ryan Savardera. I know many of you are familiar with him over at the Daily Wire. Hundreds of thousands of people have turned out in the streets of France to protest French President Emmanuel Macron's left-wing climate change policies, which include increasing taxes that are highly burdensome to the working class. Now, NPR reported on Monday, as part of his environmental policy strategy, French President Emmanuel Macron announced a green tax on fuel last month to go into effect on January 1st. Now, the move set off nearly a month of protests around France. The French Interior Ministry estimates 136,000 protesters turned out across the country over the weekend, in addition to 280,000 in previous weeks. So just a lot of unrest going on in France right now. Violence broke out over the weekend in Paris when ultra-left and ultra-right protesters defaced the Arc de Triomphe and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, looted shops, vandalized buildings, and even attacked police. Now, NPR notes that the protesters' initial demand was to repeal the green tax, but now they also want the minimum wage to be raised, and they want Macron to resign. So NPR added that according to a new poll, many of the protesters are fed up with politicians from the political establishment and support the protesters. And this is a little blurb from NPR I'm going to share with you. According to a poll conducted Sunday by Harris Interactive for French media, 72% of French people support the yellow vest even after Saturday's riots, but 85% responded that they are against the violence. 4 people have now died since the protest began 3 weeks ago. 3 were killed in separate traffic accidents caused by roadblocks set up by yellow vests, and an 80-year-old woman in Marseille died from injuries when a tear gas grenade hit her in the face as she closed her apartment windows to protest below. So very heartbreaking news there. Also, the Daily Wire noted that riots in France are the worst riots the country has faced since the 1960s, and at least 133 people, including 23 police officers, have been hurt. Now, the Daily Wire reported on Monday that American media has largely ignored the root of the violent protests are leftist climate change policies. And they said the American media, of course, has a vested interest in maintaining audience concern over global warming, which is why CNN and CBS left out key details about France's exorbitant fuel prices. Many on the left would love for the American government to institute similar heavy-handed controls designed to save the planet at taxpayers' expense. Now, the protests come as the United Nations Climate Conference kicked off Monday, where alarmists warn that climate change will lead to the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. So just a lot of unrest in France. Wanted to bring you that update from the Daily Wire, and wanted to take a second to welcome and thank everyone who has joined us right here over in the YouTube chat. So glad to have you here with us tonight on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Shout out to all those wonderful sponsors that keep the chat room clean, fun, and family friendly. Looks like Roger Vega is here tonight and Real Frank in Florida. Thank you so much for joining us in the chat room. Really appreciate it. And of course, all of those donors. And want to give a shout out to some over on Facebook as well. Thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate all of you, and thank you. Looks like we've got Lucy watching. Lucy over from Tennessee. Hope you are doing well, Lucy. And Beth, Alba, Julie, Jessica Messer, and Bailey Byers. Thank you guys so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So glad to have you here with us tonight for another nightly news recap. And of course, also thank you to everyone watching on Twitter and Periscope. So glad to have you. So just wanted to take a second to share with you, in case you're not sure, Right Side Broadcasting Network is actually donor supported, and we are not able to do this without your help. So thank you so much to everyone that donates and makes it possible for us to be on the air and bring you real news in real time. You all are wonderful, and it's just so wonderful that we are able to just thrive and bring you news, and of course go to all of President Trump's rallies that we were able to travel to this year. We attended most of them. Some were logistically not possible, but we were going to even 2 and 3 in a day sometime, wanting to bring you all live coverage of the entire rally. And something that Right Side Broadcasting Network is famous for is just showing the crowds, something that the mainstream media does not do. They zoom in on President Trump's face, they cut the clips that they want to hear him say, and of course paint him a certain way. They're not fair to him, they don't respect him, and we want to do that here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We respect President Trump. We're thankful for him. We're thankful for all that he's been able to do for this country. And because of you all, we're able to attend these rallies. So I know many of you are missing the rallies. It was such a hype leading up to midterms. We had rallies every single day, and then they just dropped off. So that was definitely difficult. So readjusting to life without the rallies, although we were able to have a couple over in Mississippi, the Magnolia State. President Trump held one rally in the morning in Tupelo that Max Kleiber and Bailey Byers were able to attend, and they brought you live coverage there in the freezing cold in the tarmac. And cameraman and Kevin and I, another reporter here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, we were able to actually go to Biloxi, Mississippi, right on the Gulf Coast, and bring you a very Merry Christmas rally. Now that was so much fun, unlike any rally I'd seen before, as snow literally fell from the ceiling in the arena. And Santa Claus came out and elves, and they were throwing out hats and Christmas presents. It was so much fun, just so much energy at that rally. Really got everyone ready for Christmas, and so many fantastic patriots held up their signs that said Merry Christmas, Make America Great Again. And we were able to just really enjoy that rally. We got some wonderful interviews, wonderful content, great video. So if you want to see it, don't forget it's right here on our YouTube channel, Right Side Broadcasting Network. You can just go back a few and see the full rally. So anyways, all that to say, we've just traveled all over the country for all these rallies, and you might be wondering what we are going to do next. Well, we're not stopping. We're creating new programs, content, just like this show. We'll have some new shows coming up in the future that we're really excited to share with you. And of course, we want to bring you live on the scene coverage as well. So we will be going to conservative events all around the nation next year. So stay tuned. There are some very special events that we're planning to go to bring you live coverage. And we're really thankful for all of your donations and really grateful for them. Of course, we do not take any dollar for granted. We know that it is your hard-earned money. And wow, thank you so much. Rick Moore just donated $99.99. Thank you very much, Rick Moore, for your donation and for being a loyal viewer and supporter here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Really appreciate that donation. That will help us to stay on the air and bring you recaps just like this one, and of course rally coverage as we gear up for 2020. Over the last 2 years and just over the last 6 months of myself being here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I've been able to see firsthand just how much the network has grown, how the quality has increased, the technology has gotten better, and we just developed new ways to bring you all live streams from these rallies, and we're really excited to do that with you. We have such a fantastic team here of wonderful cameramen, reporters, and of course our CEO, Joe Seals. So thankful for you and all that you do for us. He does so much, everyone. Give Joe a shout out. Thank him for his hard work. He produces, he does graphics, and he keeps Right Side Broadcasting Network alive and deals with all of us. And you guys know, you've watched us. We have some big personalities here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, so he definitely has his work cut out for him. But we're a family here, and we're so thankful that we are able to communicate with you all, to bring you real news. And of course, some different ways that you can donate right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You can donate on the YouTube chat just by clicking that $ down below, and your donation will come up in a bright color just like Rick's just did. Thank you, Rick. And of course, we will read that to everyone. And you can also go to our website. And for those of you that might just be joining, I'm going to pop our website up real quick to show you what that donate page looks like. So I'm going to switch over, and thank you, Matthew Timonen, again from Australia, for your $7.99 donation. Really appreciate that. So if you go to our website, you can click the tab up at the top that says donate, and you'll be able to see the different ways there. You can see a beautiful picture of President Trump with his thumb up, and it says support RSBN. We aren't supported by large donors. We don't have big advertisers. We're being censored by social media. Without your support, we would not be here. So then just the different ways to donate. Of course, you can donate on PayPal, and PayPal is a really great way to donate because we actually get to keep 90% of that donation, whereas on YouTube we are just keeping 70%. And you can also donate through Patreon, and Patreon is a really wonderful way to donate because you actually get fun things in return, like stickers, pens, pencils, mugs, tumblers, hats, just different things so you can remember Right Side Broadcasting Network and share our message with your friends and family. And of course, you can also donate the old-fashioned way by mailing a check, writing it out to RSBN, and sending it to 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344 in Auburn, Alabama 36830. And want to take a moment just to reminisce. I know we've spent some time talking about the rallies, and before I bring up the next story of the night, want to show you President Trump's entrance to one of the rallies. Sorry, no audio there, but you know that the crowd was cheering and really excited to hear President Trump come out. Just the excitement at these rallies is electric, and everyone we interviewed said that they were just so thankful for a president who is just so honest and who has already accomplished so much in 2 years, more than many other presidents have accomplished during their entire terms. And he has had, of course, a lot of damage control to do. So we're really thankful for him and just all that he's done for America as we are preparing for 2020. It's going to be really exciting to attend more President Trump rallies. Something he always says, and I really agree with him, he says, is there anything more fun than a Trump rally? Because just the excitement there and the people you meet, it's just such a blessing. So thankful that we've been able to attend so many rallies. I had a list of them I was keeping, got up to about 45 by the end of the midterms rally run, and it was just such a blessing that we were able to do that. And so thank you so much for supporting us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network and for making it possible for us to attend these different rallies. Now, something that's really unique about our broadcast and about this broadcast, the Nightly News Recap, is that I love receiving stories from you all and sharing them. I want to know what stories matter to you. So thank you to everyone that's already sent me stories over on Twitter, sending them to my Twitter at Alyssa Ashe RSBN. Really appreciate that. And it looks like I just got a couple stories. Thank you so much, Robert Rickler, for sending some in, and also British Patriot for sending a couple stories in. Really appreciate that. And let's see, we've got some different positive stories, one from Fox News, one from the Daily Wire. I will be going through that with you all. Also, again, thank you, Matthew Timonen, for $7.99 in Australian dollars. He says, we go one, we go all. God bless. Thank you very much, Matthew. Really appreciate that, and everyone who's continued to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. So now I'm going to pull up the story from the British Patriot. This one's a really interesting story that I will share with you. And British Patriot says, here's a random story if you're interested. It was actually planned today, not planned, it was published today. Really interesting and kind of disturbing. So I'm going to share this with you now. This is from the Daily Wire about an individual, a man from North Dakota, reportedly intent on killing President Trump, and he planned to do it in a unique way in September 2017. Really interesting. He actually wanted to use a forklift to get President Trump's limo, flip it over, and then end the life of President Trump. So definitely a sick individual, and his name is Gregory Lee Lingang, 42, of Bismarck, and he was charged in federal court with one count of attempting to enter or remain in a restricted building and on grounds while using a dangerous weapon, as well as one count of attempting to damage government property. This is according to the Grand Forks Herald. Now, on Friday, Lingang reached a plea deal, pleading guilty to entering or remaining in a restricted building and on grounds while using a dangerous weapon. And he told U.S. District Court Judge Daniel Hovland on Friday that he had been diagnosed with an attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and bipolar disorder, adding that he had taken medications intermittently for those disorders for 30 years. Now, according to U.S. Assistant State's Attorney Brandy Sass-Russell, Lingang knew of President Trump's speech at that Andeaver Mandan refinery on September 6, 2017. And that afternoon, Lingang had stolen a forklift in Mandan and joined President Trump's motorcade route. And Sass-Russell stated the intent was to basically try to get the limo, flip the limo, and get it to the president. And he wanted to end the life of President Trump. But his plans were changed when the forklift actually got stuck in a gated area, according to the Herald, triggering him to flee. And he was later caught by Mandan police, to whom he revealed his scheme. An agent of the United States Secret Service also heard Lingang's confession. Michelle Montero, Lingang's public defender, told the court he was suffering a serious psychiatric crisis during this incident. So according to Mandan Deputy Police Chief Lori Flatton, the morning Lingang stole the forklift, he set 2 fires in Bismarck on the other side of the Missouri River and had stolen a truck from the city's Parks and Rec department. And as the Washington Post reported, Lingang later abandoned the truck, then crossed the river over to Mandan and made his way to a sports complex under construction near the Mandan oil refinery. Also wanted to shout out, thank you very much for your $14.99 donation. Jesus is Lord 5454 over on YouTube. Really appreciate that donation and your continued support. So kind of moving down just towards the end of this story, this very disturbing individual, Lingang was sentenced to 10 years in state prison for setting fires and 5 years for stealing the forklift, and he received another 5-year sentence for burglary in another case, and he's scheduled to be released from prison in 2038. And the prosecution agreed to recommend a sentence of time served concurrent to state sentences. So really interesting but painful story there. Really unfortunate that individuals have motives like that. But thank you, British Patriot, for sharing it with all of us. Really, really appreciate that. And I will be pulling up some more stories, but wanted to take a second to do kind of one of our fun segments here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, where we go over President Trump's tweets of the day. So stay tuned. Of course, as you know, our president is very active on Twitter, and so really love bringing you all just those tweets as we kind of analyze what they might mean. And you know, many news stations do take a lot of time going through these tweets. It's really cool. One of our reporters here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, Bailey Byers, used to work at One American News Network, and she told me one time if President Trump didn't tweet, we would lose literally half of our broadcast because we spend so much time on it. Also, thank you, Matthew Timonen, for your $14.99 donation. He says, love the RSBN family. God bless everyone. Thank you, Matthew. Really appreciate that. Now, remember, you can donate here on YouTube. But if you donate on Patreon, which is from our website, you can receive fun things I didn't show you earlier when I was talking about. But like these mugs, we have this white one with the Right Side Broadcasting logo on it. And we have a new one that's really nice. It's navy with just the red logo. And we have a new tumbler I wanted to show you all. Drinking blueberry tea out of it right now. But just a really cute tumbler with a white Right Side Broadcasting Network logo. So fun things you can receive if you join us over on Patreon. So like I said, we are going to go through the Trump tweets. We're going to do the Trump tweet segment. We're going to look at his tweets. We're going to analyze them a little bit because I love to hear your thoughts as well. So I would love to read some of those comments live if you have helpful comments as we go through these tweets. And then we will, of course, be bringing you some more news here on Right Side Broadcasting Network on this nightly news recap. So don't go anywhere. We are going to start the Trump tweets segment. I know many of you get very excited when President Trump tweets. I do as well, because honestly, you never know what he's going to say. So I get a notification every single time he tweets. So we're going to go back to 23 hours ago when President Trump tweeted, and doesn't look like it is streaming over right now. Stay tuned. I'm going to try to pull this up for you. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. All right, we're back with the Trump tweets segment. All right, we're going to go through these tweets, analyze them. Like I said, want to read some of your comments live. So if you have constructive comments, what you think they mean, I'll share them with everyone. So 23 hours ago, President Trump tweeted out, China has agreed to reduce and remove tariffs on cars coming into China from the U.S. Currently, the tariff is 40%. So this one has 130,000 likes on Twitter, and it was retweeted 30,000 times. So doing well there. And 15,000 comments. After that, he tweeted out about his meeting in Argentina. President Trump tweeted out, "My meeting in Argentina with President Xi of China was an extraordinary one. Relations with China have taken a big leap forward. Very good things will happen. We are dealing from great strength, but China likewise has much to gain if and when a deal is completed. Level the field." All right, so his next tweet after that, 14 hours ago, he says farmers will be a very big and fast beneficiary of our deal with China. They intend to start purchasing agricultural products immediately. We make the finest and cleanest product in the world, and that is what China wants. Farmers, I love you. So just showing President Trump's support there for farmers all around America. And 14 hours ago, he tweeted out, "President Xi and I have a very strong and personal relationship. He and I are the only two people that can bring about massive and very positive change on trade and far beyond between our two great nations. A solution for North Korea is a great thing for China and all." And he continued tweeting about it. Looks like he was very active on Twitter today, but you know what? This is the Trump tweet segment, so we're going to go through all of them. He said 14 hours ago, we would save billions of dollars if the Democrats would give us the votes to build the wall. Either way, people will not be allowed into our country illegally. We will close the entire southern border. If necessary, also stop the drugs. In all caps, so he's making his message very clear. And then 12 hours ago, he tweeted out a quote, Michael Cohen asked Judge for no prison time. You mean he can do all the terrible, unrelated to Trump, things having to do with fraud, big loans, taxes, etc., and not serve a long prison term? He already makes up stories to get a great and already reduced deal for himself and get, and it continues on, his wife and father-in-law, who has the money, off scot-free. He lied for this outcome and should, in my opinion, serve a full and complete sentence. And later on in the day, he shared another quote, I will never testify against Trump, and he says this statement was recently made by Roger Stone, essentially stating that he will not be forced by a rogue and out-of-control prosecutor to make up lies and stories about President Trump. Nice to know that some people still have, quote, guts, end quote. And his next tweet after that, he says, Bob Mueller, who is a much different man than people think, and is out-of-control band of angry Democrats, don't want the truth. They only want lies. The truth is very bad for their mission. And moving on, he tweeted out a more emotional tweet that I shared with you earlier today while we were remembering and honoring George H.W. Bush. President Trump tweeted out, looking forward to being with the Bush family to pay my respects to President George H.W. Bush. And then he tweeted out, congratulations to newly inaugurated Mexican President Lopez Obrador. Had a tremendous political victory with the great support of the Mexican people. We will work well together for many years to come. And then there was the video remembering 41 that I shared with you earlier. I'll share it with you again. There might not be sound, but you can kind of just get a glimpse of what it looked like earlier today. So that was a video, and wanted to thank again Matthew Timonen again from Australia for donating $5.99 in Australian dollars. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Matthew, for all of your support, and thank you to everyone watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you're watching from tonight. We're really thankful to have you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And I have some more stories, some more political stories that we're going to go through tonight, so don't go anywhere. And also thank you so much to our moderators in the chat room over on YouTube. Really thankful for you all. Real Frank in Florida, thank you for sharing that address in those different links for everyone to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network to help support us and keep us on the air. Really, really appreciate that, and all of your donations and continued support. So earlier we talked about, the rallies in Mississippi that President Trump had last week. We were really thankful that we were able to attend both of them for you all. And so I wanted to remind you, in case you did not know, in Mississippi, it was successful. Cindy Hyde-Smith was able to keep her Senate seat in a very close race against Mike Espy. Now, either way, this would have been a historical outcome, Cindy Hyde-Smith being the first female senator from Mississippi. Mike Espy would have been the first African-American senator from Mississippi. And so I wanted to get an interview with her at the end of the rally. I ran up to her, asked her for an interview, but she was already headed out the door. But you know, she did give me a warm hug, and so it was just really nice to be embraced by her, to actually meet her in person, just to say a couple words to her, and it was just such an honor. So of course, as you know, Right Side Broadcasting Network is very political, and so we will be bringing you political news as it occurs. So stay tuned. Of course, we will also be bringing you live streams of White House events, White House press briefings, different things you may be interested in, and new shows coming up on the horizon as well. So stay tuned for that. We have a lot to share with you all. And for those of you that may just be joining, want to kind of just give a recap of what we've already talked about here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We opened the broadcast by honoring former President George H.W. Bush. We moved on. I gave you an update on the political and just the social unrest going on in France right now because of Macron's leftist policies. Also, I gave you an update on the destruction from California, the wildfires there, the lives that were lost. And we just did the President Trump tweets segment, and I had a couple other colorful stories that I shared with you as well. And I want to share with you some tweets. I don't have them to show to you, but I'm just going to read them to you. And of course, want to hear your feedback over on YouTube if you happen to be watching in the YouTube chat. We are really glad to have you here with us tonight. So thank you so much for joining us. So kind of just going through some different things that are going on, and I'm going to kind of go through these tweets, and if there's one that really sticks out to you and you'd like me to go more into depth about, please let me know right here in the YouTube chat, and I will pull up some more information about it. So Jennifer Franco tweeted out earlier today that Congress is expected to vote this week to delay government funding negotiations following the death of former President George H.W. Bush, potentially putting off talks of border wall funding and a partial government shutdown for 2 weeks. So we're going to have to see how Congress votes, and of course we will be bringing you an update on that. Now just know that if I am not live on the air, I'm still going to be trying to tweet out updates for you on what's going on all the time. So if you haven't yet, follow me on Twitter at Alyssa Ashe RSBN, and make sure, more importantly, to follow at RSB Network as we bring you live updates on Twitter as well. And going to be bringing you more political tweets in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. A few more stories for you as we finish up this nightly news recap on Monday, December 3rd. So thank you so much for joining. It's been such a pleasure sharing with you many world, national, political stories, but we're not done yet, so don't go anywhere. Wanted to share with you all a tweet from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. He said today, "Wheels up and on my way to Brussels for my third trip as Secretary of State. This underscores the importance of our transatlantic alliance." And also a little information about that trip from the Jerusalem Post. So Netanyahu actually delivered a warning to Lebanon in the meeting with Pompeo. So Netanyahu made a previously unannounced trip to Brussels as concern in Jerusalem mounts over precision missiles in Hezbollah's hands. So this is from the Jerusalem Post. Like I said, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is believed to have taken a warning to U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in Brussels on Monday for him to deliver to Lebanon. Stop Hezbollah's efforts to get precision-guided missiles, or Israel will do so. Now, before boarding his plane, Netanyahu characterized the meeting as important and alluded to the situation in Lebanon. And Netanyahu said before taking off, "We are in continuous contact with our American friends. I will discuss with Mike Pompeo a list of developments in our region and actions we are taking together to halt the aggression of Iran and its proxies in the north. We will, of course, also discuss other issues." Now, Netanyahu was accompanied to the meeting by Mossad head Yossi Cohen, National Security Council head Ben Shabbat, and his military secretary, Avi Blott. Now, Israel has for months been warning against Iran and Hezbollah converting some of the nearly 150,000 missiles believed to be stockpiled by the organization in Lebanon into precision-guided missiles by refitting them with GPS systems. Now, Jerusalem has made it clear that this is something it will not tolerate, since these missiles could accurately target Israel's sensitive infrastructure and population centers. Now, like I said, this is courtesy of the Jerusalem Post. Netanyahu made mention of this in September during his address to the UN Security Council. He said Iran is directing Hezbollah to build secret sites to convert inaccurate projectiles into precision-guided missiles. Missiles that can target deep inside Israel within an accuracy of 10 meters. Now, Netanyahu, who held up photos during that speech of what he said were 3 of those sites near Beirut International Airport, said that he had a message for Hezbollah. Israel also knows what you're doing. Israel knows where you're doing it, and Israel will not let you get away with it. Now, Netanyahu's trip to Brussels came 24 hours after the police recommended an indictment against him on charges of bribery and fraud. Now, the Prime Minister's office stressed in announcing that the rush trip to Brussels, that the meeting was set up last week and originally scheduled for Wednesday, but was moved up because of the funeral for late U.S. President George H.W. Bush, which is scheduled for that day. Now, highlighting when the meeting was set up indicated that, I'm pulling that up for you right now, just lost indicated that, don't go anywhere, I'm pulling it up. Okay, sorry, it froze. But really interesting article, and I will be finishing it for you, so don't go anywhere. Shout out to the Jerusalem Post. Thankful that we were able to use this tonight. So highlighting when the meeting was set up indicated that it was no way connected to the police recommendations and seemed an effort to nip in the bud any speculation that Netanyahu was interested in flying abroad on urgent state business to deflect attention from police recommendations. Now, on Saturday, Pompeo issued a statement saying that Iran launched a medium-range ballistic missile capable of carrying multiple warheads. In a direct quote from Pompeo, he said, "As we have been warning for some time, Iran's missile testing and missile proliferation is growing. We are accumulating risk of escalation in the region if we fail to restore deterrence. We condemn these activities and call upon Iran to cease immediately all activities related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons." Now, Pompeo said that the test violated a UN Security Council ban on Iranian ballistic missile activity designed to carry a nuclear payload. Now, Netanyahu, before their meeting, thanked Pompeo for his firm statements about Iran's latest ballistic missile launch. Now, Pompeo is in Brussels to take part in the semi-annual meeting of NATO foreign ministers. So we'll be bringing you updates on that as we can as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and also want to interact with you all. If you have any stories that you would like me to share before we wrap up the nightly news recap in about 20 minutes, feel free to share them with me right here on the YouTube chat. And thank you to all of our moderators and special members providing everyone with information. Looks like one of our regular members, James Wolf, is commenting and interacting now. Hey James, I hope you are doing well. And don't forget, if you become a member or a sponsor on YouTube, it's actually only $4.99 a month, and you receive really fun emojis of us. Actually, they're staff emojis that you can use in the YouTube chat. Would love for you to interact with us more there. And of course, we also have a 24-hour chat on YouTube where we're constantly live streaming Tumor's Corner. And so you can go there. We show it to you right here in Auburn. And of course, everyone interacts on that 24-hour chat, and it's really just so great to see a sense of family between all of the viewers. I know all of you live in different locations, different states, in different countries. We have viewers in France, Germany, Australia, England, Africa, all over the world, but we're so thankful that you're able to join together on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And we have Canadian viewers as well. And it's really interesting to see that just so many of you connect with each other, and so many of you have the same desire and fire for American politics that we all have here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And looking at some of your comments right here in the chat room, Josh Clemens says, "Alyssa, you're never chatting with us." Yes, I am, Josh. Ask me a question about politics or a news story, and I will answer it. If any of you have questions, would love to answer it. And official Mel Peachy says, watching from Missouri. So hope that you guys are all watching from Missouri. So thankful for all of you. And we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Stay right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us here on Brightside Broadcasting Network for the final part of the nightly news recap I like to call the nightcap. And I actually just had a quick power meeting with our CEO, Joe Seals. He wanted to apologize for the pause there, but some exciting information. We're actually building a new set in our studio here in Auburn, where we will be able to just do some different camera angles and bring on some special guests and other news anchors. So stay tuned. Our plan is to have that up for you tomorrow for the nightly news recap tomorrow. So stay tuned as we, make new changes to make Brightside Broadcasting Network more exciting, interactive, and just more visually appealing for everyone. We all have creative minds here and we're visionaries, so just always playing with new ideas to bring you the best possible broadcast as we're competing with the big dogs, competing with Fox News right now. I know you guys could be watching Laura Ingraham or Hannity earlier, or Tucker, but thank you for giving your time to Brightside Broadcasting Network. We appreciate you all so much and all of your support. You're just all wonderful. Looks like we still have about 100 watching over in the YouTube chat and some watching on Twitter, Periscope, and Facebook as well. So thank you so much just for being here, and want to share with you a positive story. Thank you very much, British Patriot, for sharing this with all of us. And this was actually published 2 days ago by Fox News, and it is about a FedEx driver, a veteran, stopping to fold a fallen flag, saying it's the Marine way. So I'm going to go through the information with it, the information about it for you, and then try to show you this video clip. So don't go anywhere, pulling that up for you right now. But it's been so fun doing a nightly news recap for you all. It's been about a week since I've done it, since we were in Biloxi, Mississippi last week for a wonderful, very merry Christmas President Trump rally. So really thankful that we were able to bring you that rally. Now we're back in headquarters for a couple weeks, just bringing you broadcasting and exciting programs before Christmas. Of course, we will be taking a break for Christmas. I apologize. There will not be programming the week of Christmas, but right now we're excited to share with you all that we have in store. And anyways, got distracted, but back to the story. Thank you so much, British Patriot, for sharing this. This is from Fox News. It says, sometimes it's the smallest good deeds that make the biggest difference. One Marine veteran working as a FedEx driver in Maryland has made headlines and pulled the heartstrings of many in recent days as he made an impromptu stop during his delivery shift to fold an American flag that had fallen to the ground. And on November 28th, Gail Cook of Ferndale shared video footage to Facebook captured by her home's surveillance camera. In a clip, a FedEx driver stopped to retrieve the American flag that landed on the ground after Cook's flagpole had been pushed to the ground by high winds, according to Fox 13 News. Now, as seen in the video, and I will try to show you that video, the patriotic Good Samaritan parked his delivery truck, carefully retrieves the flag, and creases it into a proper triangular fold and placed it safely on the family's front porch before returning to his vehicle. And he said, "Thanks, FedEx. I hope he gets the recognition he deserves. I can't thank him enough." He wrote this on Facebook in a post that has since been liked over 200 times. One of those wonderful posts that just goes viral because everyone loves it so much. And one fan wrote, "Semper Fi Marine, you are a great American patriot." And another agreed, "You Marines are an admirable bunch, and you never lose that patriotic pride." And through the power of social media, the driver was revealed to be Marine veteran Mike King, who even chimed in on the story. And he said, "It's the Marine way. Would have done it better. Justice for Lady Glory if the wind wasn't gusting at 50. LOL, you and Eric are welcome. I just couldn't drive by and do nothing," King commented on the post. Now, according to the Baltimore Sun, the veteran has in fact been delivering packages to the Cook family for several years. And Cook told the outlet of the gesture, he did this not knowing anyone was watching. He did it just because it's the right thing to do. And we really appreciate that. he took the time to do that for us. Now, meanwhile, FedEx praised King's actions. As per the Sun, and a representative said FedEx Ground is proud of the many contributions our team members and vendors make to our local communities every day. We commend the patriotic actions of Mike King, a service provider employee who went above and beyond to properly care for a fallen American flag while on his route. So really sweet story there. Thank you very much, British Patriot, for sharing that with all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. I want to show you all the video real quick, so I'm going to pull that up. And this is courtesy of Fox News. Going to take my box off so you can see any text they may have. So I also wanted to end it with a very special video today, a special performance from one of the President Trump rallies that we were able to attend this past summer. So I'm going to finish it off with that. So thank you all so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network for another nightly news recap. Going to play a special performance for you to enjoy from Trace Adkins. And I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you very much for joining us here on RSBN. I'm Alyssa Ashe. God bless and good night.
He's put away his gun and boots, but he still believes the American dream. To his last breath he'll always be a soldier. On his couch for the news at 10, he'll see those places that he's been, and when a brother falls, a part of him does too. And if they called and needed him back, oh, he'd be on that plane, 'cause he's still a soldier. His blood runs red, white, and blue. He's put away his gun and he still believes the American dream. To his last breath he'll always be a soldier. He don't wake up anymore when he hears thunder. But even if he lives to be 100, he'll still be a soldier. He's still a soldier. He's put away his gun and boots, but he still believes the American dream. To his last breath he'll always be a soldier. He's still a soldier.